Ajax's Champions League fairy tale goes on after they beat Juventus to reach their first semi-final since 1997. Cristiano Ronaldo put the Italians ahead just after the half hour, but Donny van de Beek equalised 6 minutes later for the Dutch. Ajax's teenage captain Matthijs de Ligt headed home a 67th minute winner, 2-1 on the night, 3-2 on aggregate. Well, like I said before the game, we were not the favourites to win this match. We played against one of the favourites to win the Champions League. However, following our own philosophy, we can go further and we can continue to overcome the limits. Ronaldo helps to increase our chances of Champions League success, but football is not logically calculated like that. It's not a question of 1 + 1 = 2. In football, 1 + 1 can equal 3, 6, 4 or 0. Lionel Messi inspired Barcelona to outclass Manchester United at Camp Nou in the other Champions League quarter-final. 1-0 up from the first leg, the Argentina international doubled the hosts' advantage after 16 minutes and made it 2-0, aided by a David De Gea error. A Felipe Coutinho stunner made it 3-0 on the night and 4-0 on aggregate as Barca booked their semi-final berth. Well, it's clear that Leo Messi always gets us out of many problematic situations, no doubt about it. Played great and scored goals. And I think we were already well positioned in the game, despite those first 5 minutes during which they got into our area twice, hit the crossbar and put one in the middle, but we were a bit misplaced. Manchester City trailed Tottenham Hotspur 1-0 going into the second leg of their Champions League quarter-final tie later. Son Heung-min scored the only goal of the game in last week's 1-0 win at Spurs' new stadium, and City now face a challenge if they are to reach the semis. City defender John Stones is confident that Pep Guardiola's men can overcome the first leg deficit.
But I think there's still everything to play for, everything. We need obviously one goal and then we go from there. And I think that's how we approach the game, and it's still so close. Obviously, one goal between it. Back at the Etihad tomorrow night. It's a massive occasion and one that we're really looking forward to.
Sergio Aguero has been passed fit to play and a boost for Guardiola, while Fernandinho has trained after missing last weekend's Crystal Palace win. Despite breaking his hand during the first leg, Tottenham have Dele Alli operational. It was not all smiles for Novak Djokovic as he survived a scare against Philipp Kohlschreiber to book his place in the third round of the Monte Carlo Masters. The top seed took the opening set but fell behind by a break in the second, and the German held on to take it. However, after an on-court explosion, Djokovic regained his composure and went on to win the third and final set. 6-3, 4-6, 6-4 to the Serb. Marin Cilic was unable to show the same composure as Djokovic, and the 7th seed fell to Guido Pella in 3 sets. The Argentinian, who overcame Cilic at Wimbledon last year, took the opening set and had chances in the second before the Croat recovered to level. There was only one player in the third and final set though, and Pella took it to seal his win. 6-3, 5-7, 6-1, and it's Marco Cecchinato next. Jo-Wilfried Tsonga's fitness woes continued when he was forced to retire during his opening round clash with Taylor Fritz in Monaco. The American took the opening set 6-4, but the Frenchman could only last 2 games in the second set before abandoning the match with Fritz a break up. Diego Schwartzman is next up for Fritz. CSKA Moscow lead Vitoria after the opening game of their EuroLeague playoff. Corey Higgins, who managed 12 points on the night, hit a 2 to give the Russians the edge approaching the midway point before they truly seized control in the third quarter. They were led by Sergio Rodriguez, who bagged 19 points to help lift the second seeds to a comfortable advantage by the time the final quarter rolled around. In the end, CSKA ran out 94-68 winners. Fenerbahce lead Zalgiris Kaunas after the opening game of their EuroLeague playoff after some superb defending earned them a convincing win. After an even start, the Turkish outfit seized control in the second quarter and further stretched their lead in the third. Marko Guduric was Fenerbahce's second top scorer with 13 points, just behind Nikola Kalinic on 16, and another dominant quarter at the end wrapped up a 76-43 win. Sam Bennett won the opening stage of the Tour of Turkey after a thrilling sprint into Tekirdağ. A six-man breakaway dominated the early part of the stage, but they've been sucked back in by the peloton with just over 20 kilometres remaining. Came down to a bunch sprint to the line with Bora Hansgrohe positioning Bennett brilliantly, and he held on to cross the line ahead of Fabio Jakobsen and Caleb Ewan.
From the late 70s for almost a decade, Italy was terrorised by the years of lead. The May '68 student movements morphed into political violence and terrorism. Armed groups on the far right and the extreme left, like the Red Brigades, bombed, kidnapped and murdered. Almost 400 people died. This January, after 40 years spent eluding the authorities, the far-left militant Cesare Battisti was arrested in Bolivia, confessing to 4 murders. Our reporters have been to Rome to meet the families demanding justice for the victims and that this dark period not be forgotten.
The Italian Years of Lead revisited, all this week on France 24.